Today I wanted to do something like a beginner's guide to fasting, or more of a deeper understanding of what is curtailed. I've discovered this way of losing weight that I've been doing, and I did a couple of videos on it where I incorporate a lot of different ideas. I take the ketogenic idea, and then I take the carnivore idea, and I even take the ketovore where they have keto and carnivore put together. I also add OMAD, 1 meal a day. I even added my own, which is 1 meal every other day, OMEOD. And in there also, I threw in like 24 hours of fasting, maybe 48 hours of fasting. If you really hit a hard plateau, you might even have to do 3 days of fasting. I haven't seen where you need more than 3 days. Actually, I think 2 will do. The other thing I threw in to the mix was a carb holiday. In other words, you have 1 day, or when I say day, I mean you have to set a time limit. Like, let's say you're going to have a keto day. You actually have a keto 2 hours. You don't eat keto all day. You eat keto till you're satiated, then you start your fast then. Doing a carnivore is different because it's a different kind of diet. You can eat carnivore all that day, or let's say an 8-hour period or 10-hour period. You'll be satiated for most of that time because that's what beef does. It satiates you. On your carbohydrate fun day, and you can plan that out, and I'll get to that in a minute, you still need to put a time limit. You still should never eat until you get to your goal weight. Never eat past 8 p.m. That's kind of a guide I put for myself. And I will not allow any sugary drinks. You've got to stay completely away from the high fructose corn syrup that's really high in some of the sugary pops and all of that. So you have to have certain guide points. But I wanted to do this. I've got some friends that, when I lost 30 pounds in 5 weeks, and I gained back 7, but I'm bringing that back down. And I'm going to discuss this whole thing more in depth. But I was very happy to lose the 30 pounds. My story is that I was diagnosed with pre-diabetic, and this was about 5 or 6 years ago. But I couldn't wait, and my doctor didn't give me any plans. She was kind of like, well, you're getting pre-diabetic, and I was almost 230 at that time, and my blood was horrible, cholesterol's high, and just all kinds of things. So I started researching diets, and I went right to keto, and I pulled off keto pretty well, but it was unsustainable. And that's the problem I had for the last few years, of finding something that I could sustain. I would sustain for a month or 3 weeks or a week and then relapse. And when you relapse, you always go back for more. I had started this year, 2024, I was going to start a serious keto. I was 217, and within 3 months I was up to 227. That just was not working for me. And so I thought about getting a little crazy, and that's where I kind of developed what I've done. It took me about 6 months to kind of work it all out. I kept trying different things, a little bit of this, but nothing had any staying power. It was like I tell my sons, is that you're on keto, and then your body goes, I know what you're doing. And then you'll try paleo, or you'll try carnivore, and it'll work for a while. You'll pull off 5 or 6 pounds, and you think you're going down, and then it's like, See, what we're not understanding is these bodies fight for homeostasis. They fight for balance. Now, your body doesn't know you're overweight. All your body knows is that you're losing parts of the body, and it wants to stop that. And this is where people run into problems when it comes to these weight loss, is that your body thinks that, we can't be losing weight, we can't be losing fat, so therefore I'm going to regulate myself. I'm going to change the BMH to where your BMRI, I guess, your basic metabolic rate, and I'm going to change that to make sure that we can hold on to this fat, because your body thinks this is good. There's a guy named Robert Gundry who wrote a good book that I read, borrowed from the library, and it talks about your mind and body working together. He says things like, when you eat good food, like apples, bananas, whatever, when you're eating good quality meat, your body relaxes a bit to go, I'm in some place where there's plenty of food. So it relaxes, and it burns, and it gets nutrients and does its thing. When you're fasting, or when you're doing this, your body gets all tense. Oh my gosh, where's someplace there's no food, And especially if you're eating garbage, the chips, the pops, the cookies, all of this high fructose junk that we fill ourselves with, Your body thinks you're someplace where, there's no good food, and it starts holding fat because it thinks it needs it. You see where I'm going with this? You need to get your body and your mind together, where your mind understands that your body wants to fight for homeostasis, and you need to get on the side of your body, but you want to trick your body. You want to trick it into losing weight but feeling like it's doing so safely. Today, my daughter was frustrated because she was trying to learn a piece on the piano and it wasn't going well. And she wanted to slam the keyboard and walk on it. I'm like, hey, go back and get a little win. Do 2 passages, just 2 passages with both hands, and get a win. And that's what happens when you're fasting, when you're losing weight. You need to go with the little win. Sometimes we're in a stupid big hurry to lose 100 pounds or lose 50 pounds, lose 40 pounds, and I'm pushing. It's not moving fast enough. Can you accept a pound a day or 3 pounds a week? Can you really get those little gains when you use the scale as a guide, not really a boss? I sat down with my doctor and we decided 190 was a good number. And she said I could go 200 if I want. But I said, well, I want to be a little trimmer, a little more lean, a little nicer looking. So we decided 190 for my age. I'm 63. For my metabolic rate, I get my blood work back. And she said, yeah, for your age and for the usage of this body and stuff, that would be, a nice weight. So I set that as my goal. Right now I'm clocking in at 202. But I'm also, I'll talk more about what I'm doing, but I'm 10 to 12 pounds away and I'm going on down. I got to 195 and then I went back up 7 pounds. Part of that's not paying attention. Part of that is a little bit of experimentation. Allow yourself to go up and experiment with some things. You're not in a foot race to 190, whatever your goal number is. So I don't get a foot race for that. But I want to go in how to prepare yourself for fasting. Fasting is important. You cannot lose weight if you're just calorie counting. You won't lose as fast, and it will be unsustainable. Are you going to count calories for the rest of your life? None of us can. We want to eat freely. We want to graze freely. So counting calories doesn't work. Do you want to go to the gym an hour a day for the rest of your life? Well, most of us can't. We can't afford it also, $40 to $50 a month. Even if you got the weights, sooner or later you get tired. Can you find something that's sustainable within reason so that you could maintain, but if you go too high, you can bring it back down? That's where I'm going with this. I haven't thought of a name for this. One guy said it sounds like chaos, you're just throwing things out. Well, part of that's true. Another lady called it ketovore, intermittent fasting, OMAD. And I also have the OMEOD, 1 meal every other day, but that's kind of wordy. I thought about fasting affirmation. Haven't really come across with a name. Send me a comment. But the deal is this. To get fasting in your mind, if you want to start losing weight, you have to make a relationship with fasting. You have to accept the existence of fasting. Now, when we hear fasting, we think of, going days, you're on a desert island and you're starving to death. I thought I thought fasting would be horrible. I would just be wanting to chew on my own arm and I would feel bad all the time and I'm just forcing and gritting it through. But God has set up this body to work with you. For example, one thing you don't know, and you find this when you fast, is right about 24 to 36 hours, your body goes, okay, fine. It wants to eat, because it's doing its homeostasis thing. I need to get food. I need to get, resources in. And then it's like, okay, we're fine. It's like somebody who's going through a tunnel and they see the light and go, okay, we're fine. And then I remember I did a 5-day fast. I felt great after the first 36 hours. I did a 3-day fast, same thing. I'm getting to where I can do 1 and 2-day fast pretty easily because I've done enough of them to where I mentally go, I'll be all right. When you're, most of us will have a normal hunger of 2 and 3. I could eat. I could go in there and grab something. Sometimes you get 5 or 6. When you get to the 8 or 9, then you're like, whoa, hey, I've never been up above an 8 or a 7, to tell you the truth. But your body does that. It crashes down, and then you can go as long as you want. I'm suggesting when you kick it up, you don't want to go beyond a 2-day fast because you think about it. You do 1 day, 24 hours. You do a partial day of keto. Then you do maybe another 24. Then you do a third of a day as carnivore. Then you do 2 days, and then you do a carb day. So you've done a full week, and then you do a full carb day, or like I say, 6 hours of a carb day. Then you keep switching it up. One time you're a keto day. The next day you do 2 days. The next day you'll do a carnivore day. Throw it in there. Then you'll do a keto day. Then you'll do 1 day. Then you'll do an OMAD. Then you'll do an OMEOD. But I suggest putting in at least one feeding period between OMAD and OMEOD. But you break it up to where your system kind of doesn't know what you're doing, and you'll be burning the fat. And you need to accept plateaus. If a plateau happens, change it up. If a plateau happens, if you can, throw in a carb day. But if you don't want to because it's been too soon, throw in a keto day. If you had a keto day yesterday, maybe you need to throw in a 2-day fast. And fasting, like I said, it's a mental thing. It's not a physical thing. Your body is going to fight for homeostasis. It wants to get food in there because your physiology thinks, people will say that your stomach is like a second brain. It kind of does for regulating all of these things. Thinks you need food, but your mind is stronger and says, you're fine. Calm down. And your mind needs to find things for your body to do to keep it off thinking about food. I suggest when you're fasting, make a whole list of strategies. Go for a walk, watch your favorite TV show, listen to your favorite music, hang around with a friend, just stay away from food, stay out of the kitchen. I tell my family, do not leave pizza boxes out, do not leave bowls and spoons, from ice cream hanging around. That's going to tell me there's ice cream in the fridge. Keep all that away. Work a strategy. Go to bed early. Get up early. Get if you're fasting. And set up a time when your fasting is over. Tell yourself, 9 o'clock tomorrow, we're going to have some keto, and it's going to be great. Excuse me. I'm going to cook up some meat, and I'm going to get a salad, and I'm going to have some bacon, some croutons, and I'm going to put in just a little bit of dressing. Oh my gosh, and I'm going to have a tall, glass of tea or something like that. So give yourself something to go, nope, I'm good right now because of what's going to happen tomorrow. You can even use a carb day to go 2 days. On Saturday at 8 o'clock, I bought a whole box of Captain Crunch and a half a gallon of milk for that day. Oh yeah, I can't wait to get to that, but you have to wait. You have to fill up that time. But remember, the gold standard, the no-fly zone is no eating after 8 p.m. and no syrupy pops. You cannot say, I bought a 2-liter of Dr. Pepper and we're going to drink that in 2 days. You can't do that. But I'm talking about fasting. You have to have a plan for fasting. And it's mental. And it's your mind working with your body. And sometimes, I tell my son and my wife this, listen to your body. If you're fasting and your body says, I'm going to sleep, go to bed. If you're fasting and you wake up at 5 o'clock and your body's awake, you get up. Serve your body. Don't make your body try to fit some artificial 9 to 5. And of course, we all have work and all of this and things we try to do. If you find yourself sleepy and you're at work, well, you may have to take some coffee with you. That's what I do. But work with your body. If it says sleepy, honey, I'm going to bed. If you get up at 4 in the morning, get up at 4 in the morning. Watch a movie. Watch your favorite TV show. Plan your day. I'm going to do keto today. I'm going to start at 8 o'clock and do a 30-minute keto or a 2-hour keto till you're satiated. You stop when you're satiated on a keto or a carnivore or a ketovore, which is a nice one, putting the two together. That's another one you can do. You got to fire this up. I'm talking about discipline. That's where I am here at this part of it. If you're not disciplined, you won't lose weight. And I'm not talking about, I'm going to make myself get to the gym. I lost 30 pounds and didn't go to the gym. See, but that was also phase 1. I'm in phase 2, and I might have a phase 3. Phase 1 is to lose the weight you need. Phase 2 is to work on getting lean. Phase 3 is to either cut, that is to say, build up some bulk. But if you don't want bulk, then you just start working on, maintaining. Sooner or later, you have to get to a maintaining thing. It's in your mind, like I said, but you have to discipline yourself. You can't let tomorrow get at you. You can't let tomorrow be a surprise. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. Plan it out in your head, just roughly. Okay, I have to be at work by 10. If I drink coffee, I'll get up at 7 and I'll sip on coffee and I'm not going to eat anything. Then I'll leave for work at 9:30. I'll be busy all day. I'm not going to take a lunch. I'm going to take a thermos of coffee, sip on it at my lunch, and maybe watch my favorite TV show so I'm not thinking about food on my lunch. And I work in a grocery store, for gosh sakes. I got cash registers and candies on sale. Got to plan against that. And then I'm going to get off work, and if I could wait till 8 o'clock while I get off work at 7, that shouldn't be so bad. I'll go home, stay out of the kitchen for 2 hours. You get the idea here. I'm not trying to make it all work for you, but get the idea of discipline. And make time your friend. Most people are looking at a calendar going, if I do this for 40 days and I lose a pound a day, you can't do that. You have to keep working it till you get there. It's like going on a journey with a backpack, but you don't know how far you're going. Do you want to get to that zone? Like I said, my 190, and whatever you and your doctor decide, do you want to get there? If you want to get there, you'll do what you can, no matter how long it takes. And being disciplined is actually a good thing. While I'm doing this, I'm disciplining. I told my daughter I'm kind of learning some Hebrew. I kind of always wanted to, so I just got my phone out and started working on some Hebrew. I've got some good books I'm in there reading about the history of the Jews. I'm reading Josephus, and then there's another historian called Eusebius. There's another guy named Philo. I'm reading some good books. I also have a stack of comic books from when I was a boy. I'm reading my comic books. I'm watching my favorite TV shows. I've got one queued up right now. Doing that so I don't think about the refrigerator. And planning my time. Here it is. You can see the clock. It's almost noon. I've already had some food this morning. I'm not really hungry right now. But if I sit around bored, I'm going to go in there and get something. Fill that time with fun stuff. I may grab a hat and go for a walk. You know, it's a nice day. And one thing I'm going to say here near the end is do an experiment. If you're plateauing, do an experiment, but keep an eye out that you don't go up too high. Let's say you do say, I wonder how I do on a carnivore. Well, I'm going to experiment. Tomorrow I'm going to cook up a lot of meat, and then I'm going to gauge, am I losing, am I winning? I haven't really never done keto, you might say. Well, I'm going to try a keto meal for a few days and watch, you know. And if you do a carb day, and then you see yourself, wow, I'm just ballooning out. It's an experiment. Then you have to work yourself down. And that's okay, because you're learning about yourself. You're learning about your system. You're learning about how you work. Like I said, I'm 63. I would think that a 53 or a 43 or a 33, a healthier person would actually see different results and might move faster. You might move slower based on personal comorbidities, your lifelong diet. I also have to fight against mental things. My brother and sisters and I grew up in, brothers and sisters, grew up in a food-deprived household. And I talked it over with my brother, and he says, yeah, I have a hard time not wanting to eat everything in the refrigerator, not because I'm hungry, but because I know what it's like to be hungry. I heard a story here at the very end. I'm going to tag this on. There was a nurse, and it's a true story that I read, testimonies of military people. She was a nurse working in Sarajevo, right when they were having a war. I think it was like the late 80s or early 90s. And they had all these refugee orphans. Now, all these kids that were anywhere from, 2 and 3 up to about 10, 12 or whatever. And you're dealing with these orphans. Many of them knew war and they knew hunger. And so they had plenty of food. They were comfortable. They were away from the war zone. They were in a war someplace in another country, safe, secure, plenty of food, plenty of nurses and doctors caring for them, maybe even some family members. But many of them would cry themselves to sleep. They would cry most of the night, and they couldn't figure out why were they crying. Beyond some of the normal, there's nothing normal about PTSD. But they found out the interesting thing is that hunger had such an effect on them that even though they knew food was going to be there tomorrow, they still didn't know. Their body didn't know. They didn't know. What the nurses did was put a piece of bread in their hand. And when the kids knew that there was food right there, they slept. Many of us are dealing with psychological about food, not just the physiological. One reason you can't break it here is because you have some barriers up here and you need to find those. Anyway, I've set this up for some friends. want to share it with people. You know, I did a little lean in with this called, you know, I want to share this with heavier people. I hate to use fat people, you know, it sounds derogatory. But I think a lot of people are not happy with their weight. It's funny, I've done a lot of videos on a lot of different topics, and I would get a few hundred here and there. I'd get 10 or 20. I did one on this one, and it popped over 1,500. That tells me there's people out there interested. They're trying to survive, and they're grasping at straws. I was for a while, till I came across this more chaotic, what do I call it, chaos, keto, you know, I already went through the names. Is it fasting affirmation? I still don't have a real name for it. But basically, it's taking a lot of foundational ones and then just learning them and playing them back and forth to get your mind and your body together. You need to trick it. So anyway, I'm ending the video here. Look it over and see what you think. Leave me some comments. This is for kind of the beginner. This is to encourage the beginner to start a proper and good relationship with fasting. I've got some friends especially that have asked me about my video, and I went ahead and wanted to do this kind of for them, but then put it out there for everybody. If you're not good and you don't know about fasting, create a relationship. You can do it. It's not that hard. It's just in your mind.